Hey everyone, welcome to Keeping Up with the Cardassians. Rob is flipping me off. This is Nick.
This is Rob flipping Nick off.
This is Joe watching all of it.
And we have a special guest today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Jason. I've been a big fan of the podcast since it started. I'm a good friend with Nick and Rob, and feel like I'm a good friend with Joe after listening.
Yeah.
You're already shooting up the list.
You're in a good place. You're in a good place. We got some good episodes too for you to guest host on.
Oh yeah,
we got two great ones. We got House of Quark and Equilibrium. Let's start with House of Quark here. Let's start with a quick recap by Quark himself. What happens?
I'm sorry. I couldn't avoid it. He was abusive. Vulgar. A typical drunken Klingon. All that was fine until it came time to pay his bill. He refused. I insisted. We began to argue. He pushed me. I pushed back. I was about to call for security to throw him out of my bar when suddenly he pulled a knife on me. I avoided the first thrust. He came at me again. I hit him with a left jab. It was a furious exchange of blows. The next thing I knew, his knife was at my throat. So I twisted it out of his grasp and plunged it into his chest.
Yeah, plunged it into his chest. Exciting, right?
It's intense.
It's intense. So that's our first one, but we got some more that we want to play for you. Here's some more summing up good old Quark.
It's not about profit anymore. It's about respect.
It is?
You see the way they look at me now? I'm not just some Vino Ferengi trying to take their money. I'm Quark, slayer of Klingons.
Right. And?
So you lied to the station security officer, to your customers, and to De Gore. You must be quite a liar.
It's a gift.
His delivery of that line was so great.
It was. Oh, yeah. It really was. It was a good delivery of that line. So I really enjoyed it. So anyway,
his facial expression when he delivers it too.
He's so proud. I love it.
He is. He's a proud man. You can't argue with that. You know? So, yeah. I don't know what's going on. Our mics are not cooperating great today.
Just headphones, right?
Yeah. I don't know what that was. So we were having some mic problems. The second I unplug you, it works. Was it you?
That might be me. It's just the different channels.
It might be. Oh, wait. Hold on. Nope. Then I lose it again. Who knows?
Yep.
We'll play around with it later.
Yep.
Rob broke our new...
This is excellent to do in the middle of the show.
I know. This is not what people want to hear. This is not
or is
what they want to hear.
Or is it just total irrelevance?
It is. Maybe we should have dcan this beforehand.
That's all right.
Show meeting?
You'd think so.
Show meeting.
Yeah.
Show meeting. Anyways, we're psyched to have Jason here. Can I call you Jason?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That was a little uncomfortable. I wasn't sure if we were to that level yet. Do they call you Jay?
I mean, a lot of my friends just call me Keith.
They call you Keith?
At the fire department, we just kind of
Keith,
always
last
go by
names?
last names.
Last names? Yeah.
Yeah, it's typical.
That happens a lot, yeah.
Usually Jason is what most people go by. So
J-Bomb?
J-Bomb, I'll take that any day.
Oh,
nice.
Not JK?
JK, I do that. Somebody called me J-Bone once. That was a nickname I had for a little bit.
J-Bone. Mm-hmm. That's nice.
I've never had a nickname, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Never.
You don't strike me as a nickname person.
What's that supposed to mean?
I've been called a lot of things.
I've been called a lot of things.
No, I don't know if any of them were nicknames.
It's not an insult to say you don't have a nickname.
I'm
it's
fine
just
with
you
it.
don't need a nickname.
No.
Now that I think of it, I've been called a lot of things repeatedly. So maybe some of them are nicknames.
And that's just by your wife.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a nickname.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But my big nickname growing up was I had a teacher in 7th grade who started calling me Bon Bon. And then that kind of stuck for a long time.
Where did that? Do you know the genesis of that?
No.
Okay.
No idea. She just said Bon Bon one day, and then it kind of stuck. And then actually, when I worked back in the day at Green Path, they called me Bon Bon. So even people I worked with were like, "Hey, Bon Bon, come here for a minute. Like, I got a question about this account." And they would call me
So did
Bon
that
Bon.
guy just start peppering the neighborhoods with call this guy Bon Bon, and it just kind of stuck?
Another guy was Kit Kat.
It just kind of stuck. It was actually her name. It was a she. Her name was Mrs. Rook, and she was an incredible teacher. She really was inspirational. Though she did some things that you could not get away with in school now. Like she would, during class, she'd be like, "I need a back rub." And then so the kids would come up and give her back rubs during class. And the kids would fight for it. Like they were like, "Oh, I can't wait to be the one to give her the back rub," right? So the kids would fight over it.
Wow.
So were there any other chess piece characters in that school as teachers?
There was... I'm coughing.
No?
There was Mr. Pawn.
Mr. Pawn.
Mr. Pawn.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to have that. Have you all seen Queen's Gambit yet, by the way? Speaking of chess.
I watched a couple episodes. It was good.
Oh, it's so good. It's on Netflix.
I've seen a couple episodes.
You don't like it, though.
It's fine.
Gosh, I don't like you. Show meeting? Can we fire him?
Yeah, he's done.
He's done?
We got Jason now.
All right,
All
there we
right.
go. Joe, it's been
Promotion on
nice.
day one. All right.
All
know
right,
what?
well, it's been real.
Let's not pretend like Joe wasn't moving on without us. He bought his own soundboard.
And thank God for Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God for Joe.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. He's already leaving us. We're just
I'm doubling down.
we're just making it happen quicker. So,
We'll have to be guest on his podcast from now on.
oh, that would be great.
I don't know the way you guys talk about me in front of my face. So I can't imagine what you guys say behind
To
my
be
back.
fair, the listener doesn't know it's in front of your face.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, so this could be behind your back, and we're just piping this in at a later time.
It would make
Although
sense.
he's responding to it, so that theory kind of goes out the window.
Well, maybe we sent him us talking bad about him so he could respond to it.
I appreciate it.
This is the dumbest show I've ever listened to in my life.
So, Jason,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you. What's your nerd resume or your Trek resume? even?
Well, I grew up in a Star Wars house.
Yeah, you did.
Huge Star
Yeah,
Wars
you
fan.
did.
I didn't even watch Star Trek until I started. I'm a paramedic, and my partner was like, "Hey, let's start watching this show." And we watched the original series, and I was like, "This is really good for like older television. Like, there's not a lot of older television that I watch." And I'm like, "This is really good."
Yeah.
And then we watched every single Star Trek series sequentially at work, which is it took us like 2 years.
That's an undertaking, definitely.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, though, that was when... So you're newer to it.
Yeah. Yep.
So how
long-
many
long
years?
ago was that? Yeah.
Oh, probably 2011, 2012 is when we
Oh,
started.
I didn't realize it was that new.
Wow.
Holy-
Yeah.
So basically,
you
right,
got to it when we met.
Just about, yeah.
Wow.
that is interesting.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I must say, when I grew up, I was more of a Star Wars than a Star Trek guy.
I never watched Star Wars till I was like 20. So
Yeah. Yeah, we've heard about that.
it's the worst.
And my Star Trek resume didn't start until 2020.
Yeah, exactly. And now you're...
That's how we improved your 2020.
Now I'm going as Quark for Halloween.
Yes.
I'm excited to see
Still
that.
waiting on the GoFundMe page, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to
All right.
happen.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Jason, what's your favorite Star Trek?
Well, Deep Space Nine is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Gady.
I love
Mine
it.
too.
It's a little darker. It's great.
What about Star Trek movie?
Star Trek movie, I think the third one.
Wrath of Khan?
The Search for Spock, or
Oh,
no,
no. Search for Spock. Yeah, you're right.
the one with
No.
the whales?
The one with the Klingons.
Undiscovered Country, or the one where there's like the Cold War allegory between
Yeah.
the Klingons? That's
That's
Undiscovered
Undiscovered
Country.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is so good.
We still got to get
So
Joe
good.
through these.
My favorite's the second one.
He's only seen the second one. Don't listen to him.
It's also my least favorite.
Hot
Mind
take.
blown.
Hot take. You can just go ahead right now and put the motion picture as your least favorite.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
pencil that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Followed by 5, and then maybe Insurrection.
I would put Insurrection before 5.
Insurrection was not good.
Insurrection was not good.
So Jason is knows Nick and I the same way that Nick and I met. So through the imaginary mom friends group that they did when they were all about to pop out kids.
Yes, the mom
they did.
cult.
Yeah, the mom cult. I
are-
like that better.
They are more of a cult. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yes.
a good point. Yeah.
So that's how we all came to know each other. And apparently, when we first met, Jason was not a Star Trek fan. So this is news to me.
Yep.
Yeah, we're learning something.
Yep.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. This already makes for a very uncomfortable podcast because it's like your friendship began off of a lie. You didn't even know.
A bad assumption.
A bad assumption. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any other nerd tendencies?
Oh, huge fantasy nerd. I read a lot of different fantasy books.
Okay.
Tolkien. There's Joe Abercrombie. I don't know if any of you guys have read any of his stuff.
Makes
good.
really nice clothes.
Just the stuff we do with Fitch, yeah.
Oh yeah. No, there's a lot of good fantasy stuff. I really dig reading fantasy. I used to be into comic books. Haven't been reading them so much, but
Yeah.
got a lot to say about the Snyder cut.
Which
Yeah.
we'll get to.
We're gonna talk about the Snyder cut, and we're gonna spoil it.
Yes, we are. So right now, let's get over it because we're spoiling it.
We're planning on it.
I'll have to make some major
Have you
spoiler alert.
Yeah. Have you seen the original Snyder? You're not a big comic book movie guy, though, are you?
Not really.
You're not a big movie person.
I'm not a big movie person. I want to see the Snyder cut, and I want to see the original the Justice League movie that came before.
Don't-
well,
don't.
you're
Well,
okay.
to compare. To compare.
yeah, for context
Yeah.
purposes.
Yeah.
I just have to block off a week to watch the Snyder cut.
Yeah, alone in the Snyder cut.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
amazed I was able to get that in before this show.
I actually took a half day because I've been working like long days the past week, and I'm like, my Mondays are normally my day off, and I didn't take Monday off this week, so I'm like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna just sit down and watch it.
Look at you getting paid to watch the movie.
It was pretty fantastic.
Rock on.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. So I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I did some work while I
Well, let's
watched
get into it
but-
then. If we're already talking about it.
Hold on. So, what are your stance on toys and cartoons?
Not that kind of toys, Jason. Or that kind too. Who am I to judge?
Whatever.
I could see myself in a different life, definitely being a toy collector. I love toys. I have some of my old Star Wars toys.
That's an
I
endorsement. I'll take it.
Still let the kids play with.
Do you have the metal die-cast Hoth kit? That's what I have. And
No.
that thing is worth a fortune now, I guess, but mine is destroyed. So
Yeah, most of my toys are pretty heavily used.
they've been worn.
Favorite cartoon growing up?
Oh, I was a really big fan of Mighty Max. I don't know if any of you
Oh,
saw
wow.
that cartoon.
Max.
Deep cut.
That's a deep cut.
I didn't know you were
Yeah.
old enough for Mighty Max.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember that one. Okay.
there's some weird wizard owl and some guy with a big sword.
Nice. Okay. What is your stance on cults?
Cults.
Are you for or against them?
It's got to be the
would
right
you
cult.
create one with Nick?
It's got to be the right
Yeah.
cult. Thank you. It has to be the right cult. That's a great answer. I
The
like that
episode
answer.
Paradise, was it a cult or not?
Ooh, I think it was more of a cult. Yeah, I'd probably go to the cult.
you.
Sorry.
I think Nick's getting voted
You know
out.
what? It depends on the cult. It's something a cult member would say.
Because I'm in a great one.
Because this
All
cult
the other
I'm in-
ones have been doing it wrong. Okay.
Right.
All right. We have our set day where we're all going to kill ourselves. Okay. If everyone just did that, we'd
It's
be great.
in the calendar.
Yeah. It's in the calendar. It's been penciled in.
Yeah, update your Outlook. It's in there.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, this is a very terrifying episode. Good thing Joe's here to keep us on topic.
I know.
On topic. All right, let's go, boys.
Let's go. No, we did want to talk about the Snyder Cut real quick. I'm sorry it's going to hurt your feelings
No.
because you haven't seen it.
I got a few
But,
things I want to talk
The
about.
thing is, I don't care about spoilers because,
Okay.
especially with this, if it was something that I was passionate about or had a strong opinion that I wanted to see,
Yeah.
I would take my headphones off. I wouldn't listen, but I don't really care. I want to hear everything.
Okay. All right, cool. So let me start by summing up what happened. So basically, Zack Snyder was in charge of making Justice League. Batman versus Superman came out. Response was pretty negative to it. Marvel was coming out with their movies. They were light. They were happy. Response was positive to those. So Warner Brothers said, dude, you got to lighten up this film. Zack Snyder was fighting it, and he was fighting it. He's like, no, I want to keep my artistic integrity intact. Don't mess with my film. Don't mess with my film. Well, during this time, unfortunately, his daughter successfully suicided, and he just didn't have the energy to fight WB anymore. So he resigned from the film. They brought in Joss Whedon. who is a dirtbag, but no one knew it at the time. And he cut 90% of the film that Snyder had filmed and made it a caricature of itself and released it to absolute evisceration. I don't think anyone liked it. Or at least Batman versus Superman was kind of like,
that warehouse scene.
Yeah, there were some good parts in it, and it was not a great Batman film or Superman film, but it was okay. Justice League was not a good film for anyone, and it basically killed the DC extended universe, right? Until they had to rework it. So, all the fans started clamoring for the Snyder Cut, right? It started off as kind of a joke, right? Like, we'll never know what we're going to get. And it got louder and louder and louder. And then HBO Max comes out and says, hey, here's $80 million. Finish your cut.
And Warner Brothers agreed, which is the really surprising part.
They agreed. Well, I think it's because the film was so hated that it's like, what have we got to lose? Yes, Joe. Joe has a question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How far did Zack Snyder get making the movie originally
He
before
was,
HBO came
he was
out?
essentially not completely finished, essentially finished. He was 95% of the way done with film. Like, they had a rough cut.
Yeah.
They did air a rough cut.
It needed post-production more than anything else.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what $80 million got him?
Yes.
It got him post-production, got him some new scenes filmed, it got him a new soundtrack. And it also got advertisement, right? I mean, that part of that $80 million was advertisement. Right. So, so the original Justice League was a shade under 2 hours long. It was more of a comedy than it was a serious film, I think.
More of a satire.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, like, to be fair, trying to be fair to what the film was intended for, it was trying to be Avengers. It was really but no one knew any of these characters, right? So, like, they introduced characters like Cyborg. He gets like 5 minutes of film time in that, and it's like, why are you supposed to care about him? They bring in Aquaman, they bring in the Flash for the first time. None of these characters have a lot of film time, and you're supposed to care about them. No one cares about them, right?
Had the Aquaman film been released at that point?
No,
Aquaman and Wonder Woman came out after Justice League.
No, Wonder Woman came out before Justice League.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay.
Wonder Woman came out after Batman versus Superman. Yes.
Crystal, will you fact check that for me?
I swear it to you. I will look it up right now. But anyways, so that is so Justice League was a shade under 2 hours. Justice League Snyder Cut, 3 hours, 58 minutes long.
So a shade under four.
And then, you know what? In all fairness, sitting down and watching it, because I actually did it in one chunk.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like 4 hours. It's kind of like Avengers Endgame in that aspect where it didn't drag. I think there might have been one part in the whole film where it kind of, you felt a little bit, okay, get on with it. But it didn't. I was invested the entire time watching it.
Right. Okay. So, Justice League, November 17th of 2017. Wonder Woman was, I'm going to say drum roll please, even though we're not building up to it. Well, that just sounds obnoxious on the recording. The 2nd of June. So it came out 5 months before.
Okay. And if you do go back and watch both, watch the theatrical cut first, so you can kind of compare and contrast.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway,
the first
Josh Whedon.
Yeah, I would anyway.
Yeah. So significant improvement.
I agree.
Oh yeah,
I was very surprised.
But here's what I'll also say: if I took a deuce in the toilet and did anything to that deuce,
Gross.
It would be a significant improvement over the original deuce.
See,
I can't think of a better.
I don't know if I
metaphor.
agree with that because this could have easily been.
I can't. Give me a better metaphor.
This could have been, no pun intended, a crap show. If you look at Batman versus Superman and how people disagreed on that movie, and some of the rumors you heard about Zack Snyder's first version of it, it sounded like it was going to be an utter crap show. And I was wrong. It was actually very entertaining.
Okay, so the two Justice League movies.
Yeah.
Do they tell the same story?
Same story beats.
Ish.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it's the same. It is the same story.
Yeah.
It is the same. They leave out big chunks, right?
Yes, there's no dark side in Whedon's version.
Yeah. So the motivation behind the bad guy in the original movie is just because he's bad.
Yeah.
The motivation in the other one is he's trying to earn back favor with Darkseid, who's like the big bad. He's like the Thanos of DC. Okay. So
Jason, did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
So
the Lone Wolf.
Same story beat, same showdown in the power plant at the end. Different fight though. I mean, totally different fight. Much more visceral. It's rated R. There's a lot of blood in it.
Yep, swearing.
Good.
A lot of swearing. Batman says the F word.
Yep.
At the end.
So mad.
To the Joker, which was a really cool scene.
Right.
That was.
I don't know if I like that.
What?
That he said
Batman
the
swearing.
Batman.
He's a psychopath.
He beats up people.
It's unrealistic. He doesn't swear.
Maybe.
Killing people is the thing I have an issue with.
Yeah,
swearing, he probably swears like a banshee.
I would, and it's
he
the
bangs
joke.
A lot of chicks, so he probably swears.
He does.
He makes them swear.
And
God!
It's also the Joker who's goading him about the fact that he killed Robin. Like and he's mocking him about it. Like you should have done it. Why did you send a boy to do a man's job? And he's like ripping on him and everything. So like, of course, he's going to be a little unhinged.
Right.
What world do we think that scene takes place in? Do you have any context? Do you think it's like in Injustice or like some sort of Flashpoint?
It's supposed to be. No, it's literally supposed to. So the second movie was supposed to be them actually ending up losing to him. So he comes and they lose the battle.
Oh.
And the third movie would basically be parts of that with Flash traveling back into time, correcting everything that happened.
Yeah, so Darkseid gets the anti-life equation.
Takes over Superman.
And just gets rid of Earth.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it does follow a lot of the beats of Injustice, because in Injustice, the Superman is tricked into killing Lois by the Joker. So Superman kills the Joker, which leads him to a dark path. This one would have been Superman put Batman in charge of protecting Lois from Darkseid. Darkseid comes and kills Lois. So Superman holds Batman personally accountable, and then Darkseid uses the equation.
And comedy ensues.
And people start dying.
So for context for me, how does this relate to Batman the Animated Series?
Not at all.
Not even in the slightest.
Nope, it's more cheerier than...
It's a little bit happier. It's a little bit happier.
No.
There was a Commissioner Gordon, so...
There is a Commissioner Gordon.
And
so they're essentially the same thing.
J.K. Simmons was a good Commissioner Gordon.
He was a good... I love how he got all the memos and he throws them in the trash can. Like, as he's walking, he just gets rid of them.
He's no Gary Oldman, but...
I thought
nobody's a Gary Oldman.
Yeah. No, sir.
Yeah. Oh,
goodness. The perfect casting for Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
The absolute perfect casting.
His monologue at the end of The Dark Knight, like, I think that's why I felt like The Dark Knight Rises sucked so bad, is because the end of The Dark Knight, where Batman's running off and, why is he running, Dad? And then he goes into the monologue. I'm like, oh, you can't have a better ending to a film than that. Like, he goes on, like, he takes the fall for it because he knows they need it. And then the third one, Batman gave up because he was sad.
Gave up 3 times.
He just gave up because he was sad.
Don't get me started.
I'm okay with Batman retiring. That's fine. I think the film could have been good if Batman had kept crime fighting, but his body got so beat up because he was running from the police as well as crime. So then he was forced to. He didn't have a choice but to retire.
Gotham police suck anyway. It would have been easy to run from them.
So I mean, you wanted Batman to go out a Super Bowl winner rather than like signing 1-year contracts with like 3 or 4 other teams.
The one day,
fading into the sunset.
Exactly.
As a
like
nobody.
Yeah, you don't need to be Joe Namath, okay? Like,
right, and then
just
eventually
retire.
just being a backup, and then a mentor, and then you just say,
and then you get drunk on air and flirt with the reporter. He
kind of went out like Barry Sanders in that movie. Here's my facts.
Yeah, he kind of did, right? He's just like, I'm out. Like, I'm done. Kelvin Johnson, he just wants his retirement, or he just wants his bonus
I thought he
money
retired
back.
years ago. He was still in the league.
Yeah.
I appreciated this movie. Like, even some of the action scenes. I hated that opening Batman scene in Justice League Whedon.
Oh, yeah, where he's chasing the parademon.
And he's holding him over. It looked and sounded and sounded so immature. It didn't seem like a Zack Snyder film, because all his faults, the guy makes pretty beautiful movies. If nothing else, his films are like visually attractive, and that one just seems so under that. It was terrible. So, the action scenes were a lot better because
Yeah.
they were longer. Like the Wonder Woman saving the kids. That was far better than
That
the
was
original.
that was a good scene.
Themyscira, better.
Yeah.
What was
Still,
it?
I think one of the weaker parts of
Oh,
it, though.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But still, much better.
Cyborg was the heart of this film.
Yeah, and he was in it 5 minutes, like you said beforehand.
And the father, right? The father had like one scene in Justice League, and he is like,
And his ending is a lot different, obviously.
Yeah.
him dying, like trying to
Sacrificing himself, yeah.
thinking it was going to work when in reality it was never going to
No,
work.
I think Batman said he wasn't trying to destroy it; he was trying to mark it.
Yeah, they made it so you could track it. I think.
Yeah, he superheated it so they could find it on Bruce Wayne's map or satellites.
Oh, is that really? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So he knew it wasn't going to work,
Yeah, he knew it wasn't going to work.
but he was sacrificing his life so they could find him.
Yep.
Nice, well done. I was always wondering how
changes
they found.
changes the movie
It
for you.
changes it for me because I'm like, how did they know where to go?
Someone didn't pay attention.
I was kind of doing some work while I was watching it.
Yeah, I get it.
So, anyways, it was really good.
You had the day off.
Did any of you guys see the color palette changes they did?
Yeah, significantly. That was more of
yeah.
a Snyder color palette. Yeah,
Well, I think Whedon's was red, and it kind of went to more of a blue.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a far better movie, and I was very surprised how much better it actually was.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
And like originally, you texted still not great, and I read that as not good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you say this wasn't actually good? And I'm not a big fan of Batman versus Superman for mostly Batman reasons.
Martha.
I don't care about that.
Martha.
I don't care about that. But
Martha.
I'm not a big fan of Batman being a raging killer.
What did you say? Martha. I'm done.
Did Batman use guns in the
Yes.
Batman vs Superman?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't
Religiously.
remember. Yeah.
And he murdered a lot of people with
Yes.
them. But Batman murders in every single movie he's in.
Not so much the Dark Knight ones.
Yeah, he did. He
remember
totally murdered.
murdering.
I don't have to save you.
He didn't murder him. He just didn't let him. He didn't save him.
In the second one, there's definitely people murdered, man. The dude was launching missiles
I
at
don't know about murder, but he was definitely responsible for many alive.
manslaughter. Superman is the king
we're-
of manslaughter.
Yeah, we're under the impression that in those buildings that were just destroyed, there was nobody ever.
Yeah. Right?
That's on his hands. That's blood on his hands.
That's blood on his hands. Which is fine because the greater good, right? The needs of the many.
He
This
better
is
be doing
bad.
some really, really good stuff then.
He better be.
because
He better be.
Yeah, even that
Take it
Wonder
up.
Woman scene. I think in the original Justice League when she does her gauntlets
Yeah.
and it just ends. This one it blows out the whole wall of the bank all over a whole thing of people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You see how powerful she was, and then that scene with the little girl was pretty good. With the little girl kneeling down, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And
Well, it showed Wonder Woman. That's how Wonder Woman
yeah,
is supposed to
it
be.
didn't show her be like, "Steve,
Yeah.
I love you, Steve."
What was that?
Steve?
Okay, just making sure.
Okay. Sorry, I'm very animated today.
Yeah, it's all right.
I've clearly gotten over my my incident from last week.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to reenact scenes for us from Deep Space Nine as well.
I can do that.
You can play all the roles.
All right, here's the thing, though. We could talk about Justice League all day.
Yes.
We're at 28 minutes.
I don't care. I told you this was going to be long because I got
My
more I want to talk
gosh.
about, not Deep Space Nine.
You are...
I'm going to parlay this Superman versus, Justice League thing into. You guys heard that J.J. Abrams is doing the next Superman movie, right?
Yes, with a black Superman.
Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I don't care about the black Superman part. Just J.J. Abrams doing
I
it
do
himself.
care. I think that's awesome that he's having a black...
That's the wrong way to say it.
Racist.
J.J. Abrams doing it.
Yeah, that
Focus on that.
wasn't
Yeah.
the focus of your.
Yes.
But to piggyback on that, I think it's great.
I think
representation.
I think J.J. Abrams is a really good hire for Superman because Superman is the happy-go-lucky character.
Yeah.
Did you ever read his original Superman idea?
It was terrible.
It was hot
But
garbage.
that was a different time, right? Where they felt like they could not make comic book accurate movies, right? And now they're realizing comic book accurate movies sell. They can do that.
so bad. And let's look at J.J. Abrams. So I like J.J. Abrams, especially TV J.J. Abrams. Look at Alias and Lost and things like that. And I like Star Trek 2009. But J.J. Abrams to me, and from what I've heard about Star Wars, because I watched his, but I don't know what everybody's issue was because
Wasn't great.
I'm not a Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
But if I look at J.J. Abrams' Mission Impossible, so J.J. Abrams' Mission Impossible, he went in there never watching Mission Impossible. And he changed some fundamental things about Mission Impossible. They're supposed to be rogue. They're not supposed to have a centralized base. They had a centralized base. We don't really want to know their personal lives. They had a bunch of personal life things in there. So, and then Star Trek 2009, as much as that movie was good, it was very much Star Wars, not Star Trek. J.J. Abrams does not understand franchises, I think. That's what makes me nervous about the Superman thing.
He's good at making his own stuff.
Yeah, he can make a great action movie, but Superman's more than that.
Well, so I'm looking at some of his directorial roles. He did Felicity and then Lost, right? He only ever directed 2 episodes of Lost, just for the record. Then he was executive producer. Alias, Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible 3.
Yeah, Mission Impossible 3. And
then he did The Office. He did the Cocktails in Office, which is great. Star Trek, Anatomy of Hope, some TV movie. Undercover is a TV series. Super 8, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, that was good.
Star Trek in the Darkness, Star Wars Force Awakens, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, and Spy Jinx. So he hasn't really directed as much as you really would think he has.
No, he hasn't. No. But the things he has, he's made very questionable decisions on. And I didn't think about Mission Impossible until I was listening to Light the Fuse podcast, and they were talking about it, and I just realized, yeah, Mission Impossible, they're supposed to be agents that no one really knows is out there, and he put them in an office building. It doesn't make sense for their purpose.
He's been set up to be commercially successill throughout his career.
He has.
That's a good way to say it.
That's a really good way of putting it.
But I think more to Rob's point is he doesn't. I think he goes into these big franchise projects.
I think I'm going to fix them.
Yeah, but trying to be a fixer or not really understanding what the groundwork has been laid before him for these franchises, right?
Yeah.
So he's going in there saying, "Okay, I'm going to do, a Star Trek movie," and then doesn't really understand what the fundamentals and the foundation of Star Trek really was.
Yeah,
right.
And turns it into things that maybe it isn't. The same thing he did with Mission Impossible. And, I guess I would worry about that with comic. I think I don't know. DC is kind of on thin ice at the moment.
Definitely.
With especially their cinematic universe. So I don't know that this is a good risk or artistically a good risk. Like commercially, it'll be successful. It's Superman. It's J.J. Abrams. They're big names. It's going to bring in a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But I don't know that someone like Rob or myself or Nick or Jason is going to go and see this movie and say, you know what, that was a great Superman film.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, but I'm really skeptical because of his history. Superman's a hard character to do anyway. It's probably the toughest character, maybe other than Captain America, to do out there.
Yeah.
And the Russo brothers nailed Captain America.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to be so good, and it's just if you can't appreciate the source material and say there's good there, let me run with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the right guy for Superman.
Yeah.
And I would like to see Henry Cavill continue.
Gosh,
I get it.
Would, yeah.
Yeah, he was really good.
Have they cast for?
No, they haven't cast. But
are there rumors?
There's rumors. But so my only hesitation with the whole thing is J.J. Abrams being involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't hate him. It's just I'm skeptical.
I think that's a fair thing to say. Actually, originally when we first started talking about this, I was all for J.J. Abrams, and now I'm like, I don't know. I just looked at his credits, and I'm like,
I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
And
of course, I'll watch it, but I may not want to watch it again.
You know what bothers me though about this last decade of comic book movies is I was always an adamant DC guy, right? Like, and I'm not the person who's like DC or die, no. Though I do like DC a lot, but I always appreciated it more than Marvel, and Marvel has just knocked it out of the park. And characters who I didn't really care about, I suddenly care about, like the WandaVision, when that came out, I'm like, I don't care about these characters. And then I watched it, and I'm like, these are two of my favorite characters now.
Right.
And DC has done the opposite. Some of these characters who are my absolute favorite, I'm like, they're really boring. I'm not interested in them.
As a Green Lantern fan, I can definitely feel where you're coming from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, they're just doing a bunch of missteps. Man of Steel, I'll still defend to this day. I thought that was a phenomenal
I thought it was a really
movie.
good
The soundtrack to that is just incredible.
I want to do a score Mount Rushmore. I really, really do, because that's on my list for sure.
Yeah, that's up there.
But this Superman in the long run also is very hopeful. So the way I looked at Man of Steel is that they were going to do that, and then so he's going to go through this growing phase, and then they get to the Superman we know. We never got to that point. Whedon tried
Growing pains.
Oh, yeah.
which I appreciated actually out of his cut, but we never got to that part of the Superman I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman is not a murderer. He doesn't use guns because his parents were murdered by a gun. They didn't understand that point. Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, I thought they pretty much nailed, actually.
Yeah.
The first Aquaman is absolutely insane, but it was good.
It was
Yeah.
cheesy in a
Jason
good
Momoa.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Jason Momoa, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Shazam was phenomenal.
I love Shazam.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, going back to the Snyder Cut real quick. Can we just imagine, close your eyes and join me in my thought bubble,
All right.
what Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot's kids could look like if they ever hooked up?
Gal Gadot.
Like, oh my God, they would be, Jason said earlier, be superheroes when they came out, because those are two of the most attractive people on the face of the planet.
Oh yeah.
Gal Gadot is just so stunning all the time.
Stunning.
Right?
That's a good
I'm
word
not
for her.
I'm not a man who I don't ogle women. That's not, and even with her, it's not ogling. It's just like she's like perfection.
Yeah, you look at her, she comes on screen, you go, she is just utterly beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, as weird as this is going to sound, probably you guys, Jason Momoa is kind of the same thing. You look at him and go, God damn, that's an attractive man.
See, the scruffy dude look doesn't do it for me, right?
Oh.
I mean,
But their kids, again, would be perfection.
Oh
like,
yeah.
give me Ryan Gosling over
No,
him
man,
any
Momoa,
day.
man, you're out of your mind.
Ryan Gosling. Yeah.
Where you at on this, Joe?
I'll take Jason Momoa.
My man.
Are you a Jason Momoa person?
Oh yeah. Over Ryan Gosling any day.
Yeah.
This is taking a different turn, but
I don't know. I think Ryan Gosling over Jason Momoa.
I am secretly
who
rooting
are you-
for a Momoa and Gadot mating, because I want to see these kids.
My thing is, who are you going to have more fun wrestling with? I mean,
Gal Gadot.
no, Jason Momoa. I mean, you're going to pin Ryan Gosling in 3 seconds. It's going to be over.
No,
It's
no,
gonna
no,
be boring.
no. No, who's it going to be fun wrestling with? Because if I'm wrestling with Jason Momoa, it's not even a challenge for him.
Yeah, but then you're pinned by Jason Momoa.
I
so
bet he'd still be I bet it would be fun still. He
would
looks like a
talk-
fun
yeah.
guy.
He would. I think he would let toy with you, let you win for a little bit.
Yep.
It's like a parent
buddy,
and
you're
their
doing
kid.
great.
You're doing so good.
Like stick his hand out and you're just swinging at nothing.
What makes it so funny is I'm visualizing all of you doing that, and it's just fun for me.
I'd let him win.
The way to judge whether it's Jason Momoa or Ryan Gosling is who is it better to wrestle with. It's just so absurd. It's so absurd. I'd rather wrestle with Quark if I'm going to wrestle with anyone.
Oh, you want?
I wasn't done talking about the other things.
I know, but at some point we need to touch.
Y'all watch Falcon Winter Soldier?
But hold on.
I have.
More,
I didn't like it.
see more to Rob's point about DC versus Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel in the
Yeah, yeah.
cinematic universe
I was talking about.
and I think I said this in one of the first episodes that I was on, is Marvel had a long play, right? They had everything scheduled. They had a vision for what they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, and when it was going to happen. And they executed it to a T.
Yeah.
Whereas DC seems to kind of change as they go along. We want to do
Well,
this.
Snyder had a vision, that's
Which
for
is
sure.
which is what Star Wars did too, right? And that hurt the sequels of the Star Wars because they didn't have a vision.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
Snyder had a vision. Warner Brothers had a different vision.
Yes.
Because Snyder definitely had a long play, because he set up Justice League 3 through Batman vs. Superman.
And look how it's played out.
Yeah.
And DC's a nightmare in the cinematic universe right now.
Yeah.
They're very consistent.
Very inconsistent. Whereas Marvel has set up, they set up and executed their movies perfectly. Everyone was a smash success. And now they're starting to hit these TV shows, right?
Even if they're not very good, they're a smash success. It's crazy.
I do wonder though, where can Marvel go from here? You brought out your big
TV.
Yes.
Well,
but
they'll figure it out.
they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll. I think they've reached their plateau though, which is fine because DC just stumbled up the hill and kept falling
They're
down.
like your
the whole
drunk
time.
uncle. Your uncle.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be with me on this. I think they're going to take the Taylor Swift approach. Whereas, so for a while, Taylor Swift was all you heard. Taylor Swift, album, music, everything you heard on the radio, to a point where it was almost oversaturated.
That was the first song.
And then she took a step back.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long, maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
And I don't want to say like she was out of the limelight, but you didn't hear much from her. No, not a whole lot of new music. And then she came back, and everybody was ready for more Taylor Swift. I think Marvel's going to do the same thing. They've executed this plan that they've had in the works for a while.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be a bit more nonchalant about the TV.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come back again, and everybody's going to be clamoring for more movies and all this new wave of Marvel movies.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite Marvel movie? Winter Soldier's mine, easily.
The first Ant-Man.
The first Ant-Man is
Yeah,
really good.
I loved that one.
Wow.
I'm going to have to go Winter Soldier as well. I thought Winter Soldier was great.
I thought Winter Soldier
Me
was
too.
amazing.
Yeah. What was your favorite of Endgame or Infinity War?
I would probably say Endgame because when Captain America picked up that Mjolnir, I totally did some stuff that I was so excited.
I love watching. You can go on like TikTok or whatever, and they have reactions from the film, like the first night it showed, and like people go nuts at that moment when they see Mjolnir move, and then he picks it up.
My one of my best memories about Infinity War is we went into the movie. My wife took a picture of our daughter. She's happy all because my daughter is a huge Marvel nut. And then took an after picture of her sobbing and just looking like she's been through war.
Oh my god!
It makes me so happy when I think about that.
I remember going into the theater for that one because I was there in opening night, and people were like, and they were all sighing or whatever. And then when Black Panther died, they went freaking nuts, man. People started yelling, and I'm like, I don't like where this is going in this theater. It's going to get violent. And I get it.
And then Infinity War actually kind of made me mad because as soon as they offed Black Panther, I'm like, they're just going to reset everything. And as we know about my feelings about Voyager, where everything was a reset button, I felt it took me out of the movie a lot.
Yeah,
I'm like,
when death has no
meaning, no depth.
Meaning. But you know what? I have liked what Marvel has doing with this after the blip stuff and like the damage it's actually done, right? Like you want to believe that people come back and things are perfect.
Can we see 5 years is longer than a blip, though? Can we name it something else?
Yeah. But I really have liked how they're kind of talking about all the damage that is done, psychological damage, right? Like this was my younger sibling, now they're older than me. Or when I was here, my mom was fine, and I get back and she's dead. You know, all this stuff.
Think about the economical change of losing 5 billion people and then getting 5 billion people back.
Yeah, they talked about that a little bit in the show the other day, where they're like, we've tightened up our loan restrictions because all these people just showed up. We can't give money to everyone.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Quark. Speaking of money and loans,
have you?
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
Have you hit everything on your list?
No, I got one more, but we could do it at the end. This is a busy week for me. I started writing down everything I wanted to talk about.
This is going to be an hour and a half long episode.
This is the Snyder cut.
Yes,
this is the Snyder cut. We're going to have to put a warning in the beginning of this podcast. What's your other thing? Just get to it.
I accidentally watched the movie Boss Level last Sunday.
Oh,
and
that's
it's
right.
with Frank Grillo and Mel Gibson. And so it's very much like Live, Die, Repeat, if you remember that movie.
Yes, with
which is
Tom Cruise.
Friggin' fantastic.
Frickin' fantastic.
This one wasn't as good as that, but it was so much fun to watch. And we've talked about Mel Gibson, how he's in it for just a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's so good at what he does. And Frank Grillo, it was just an enjoyable movie to watch.
Naomi Watts is in it, and Michelle Yeoh from Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, yeah, she plays kind of like an influence, teaches him how to use a sword.
Yeah.
But I was pleasantly surprised with this movie, so I wanted to give it some props to our handful of listeners.
All right. Well,
it was a lot of fun. I watched it yesterday, actually.
Okay.
Did you?
Yep.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
What else you got for it? Did anything stand out to you about it?
Grillo was he was spot on with his delivery and just everything about it. He was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
He had just just the physical, almost comedy of it. It was like a comedy action, but he was really good in it.
Yeah.
And
Gronk was in it.
Was he?
For like 2 minutes, and he had like 2 lines.
Yeah.
And he dies, more importantly.
What were his lines?
I don't remember.
Gronk.
Me Gronk.
Me Gronk.
Me catch football. Tom Brady.
Touchdown. Good.
I don't know. Tom Gronk, he could be the most amazing person in the world.
No.
Just ripped him.
But that's the only other thing I
it's
want to cover.
kind of going back to our Tom Hanks conversation a while ago.
Yeah.
When Tom Hanks is a devil worshiper or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
You can't say allegedly.
I listened to that episode the other day. My son loves to listen to our podcast.
Does he?
Yeah. So
What does he like about it?
Me.
I'm curious. I'm just honestly curious.
not you.
That's fine.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Joe's our most popular person here, so
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what he likes about it.
because I know my wife likes to make fun of it. That's why she listens to it. Jason, why do you like to listen to it?
It's a lot of fun to watch. During the pizza episode, the one. I was listening to that in Meyer, and I think I responded to something you said out loud. I think it was Nick saying that Jet's pizza wasn't good, and I was like, "Oh no, you didn't!" I was in the middle of the freezer aisle at the time, and I just looked around.
It's accurate though, because it isn't good.
Because I'm just curious if Gavin would like to listen to it. That's the only reason I ask.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. It's interesting how we, think about stuff like that. Would our children like it, and what do our? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out an offspring or offspring.
You're trying to figure out an offspring.
I'm trying to figure out a nice transition to Quark and Rom here. It's just not working for
Quark
me.
has an offspring.
Would any of your brothers listen to it?
My brothers probably not.
I don't have a brother, but I wonder if I bet you if I had a brother, it'd be like Rom, which brings us back to Star Trek.
Bump, set, spike.
Do-
House
do-
of Quark.
Now we're playing volleyball.
House of Quark.
Do we have to summarize House of Quark? Or do we do it at the beginning of this?
House of Quark is simple and easy. Here we go. Summary of it. Quark. There's a drunk Cleon in this bar. Drunk Cleon wants free beer. Quark's like, no. Drunk Cleon attacks him, but he falls on his own dagger trying to attack him. Cleon dead. Cleon show up and say, why you kill my brother? And he's like, I didn't. It was an accident. And he's like, what? And he's like, no, I mean, I did kill him. So the guy leaves. And then another woman shows up and he admits that he lied about it. And she's like, come with me. Because the fact that he's dead, I was his wife. And now we're going to lose the land because he dead. So you're going to marry me now because you killed him. So now we can claim the property because you killed him and, whatever. And then it turns out the guy who came earlier to threaten Quark was actually a rival house, right?
Yes.
So they go before the High Council, and Quark basically says, these dudes have been ripping them off. This rival guy, he's been ripping them off the whole time. That is dishonorable. And the guy challenges him to a duel, to the death. Quark shows up to the duel, refuses to actually duel, but the guy goes to kill him anyways, which is dishonorable. Quark wins. End of episode. Pretty solid,
Not
eh?
bad.
Not bad.
Not that. Jason's doing Equilibrium.
Thank
that?
you.
Do you want to summarize Equilibrium after we get to it?
Sure.
You got some time.
We
You got some time.
We got
Okay.
some time.
Keiko is also in this episode.
And really
I thought
good.
she has a really good B plot.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yep.
This was one of the first times. This was a real. Go ahead.
No, I'm waiting for, because I think what you're going to finish saying is exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. But their relationship felt real here. Like the sacrifices we make for each other.
Yep.
And one leads to be unhappier. And after a while, it's like, you've sacrificed too much. Like, we can't. A relationship isn't sustainable this way, right? And like the conversation with Bashir was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, she'll be happier for 2 months. Like,
Yeah.
whew, great. It's almost like talking down to your wife. Like, oh, you like to do this for a living? Here's a hobby for it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
But his heart was in the right place.
it was. It's just
That's kind of what O'Brien does. His heart is generally in the right place, but sometimes
just not
he just
bright.
kind of fumbles in the execution.
yeah. He's just not bright, and it's fine.
But I was going to say that this is one of the first O'Brien and Keiko plot points that I've actually cared about.
yeah, it
Yeah,
felt
That's a
real.
good way to say
Definitely.
it.
It felt
Because
real.
they've had maybe a handful over the course of the last 2 seasons plus,
right.
and it just it's never really caught my interest enough to really pay too much attention. But
Right.
this one, I was actually kind of emotionally invested, and I wanted to see what was happening. I thought it was pretty well done.
yeah.
Yep. Anytime I see Keiko on screen, usually it's just I'm done with it already. But this one, I actually
What a
liked her.
sexist.
I know it's a little sexist. I just couldn't stand the character.
Well,
this
it
one
They
was pretty
didn't
good.
write her
though.
well.
Yeah.
Especially early on. They made her very
Yeah.
much. It made her an antagonist, really, in the long run. Mm-hmm. And I get it. I know what they're trying to do. She didn't want to move there, so they're trying to show the friction in a family. But to the viewer, it just came off as annoying. Is the only word I could think
Yeah.
of.
Well, I feel like Keiko is a character who is written by men, though. right? Like how a man sees his wife,
absolutely.
rather than
Yeah,
by women,
absolutely.
right? Because they make her the antagonist, like
Right out of the gate.
you're trying to take away the happiness and joy of your husband. Your husband has said he'd work with you, and you're still being mean to him. Oh no, right? Like, so it feels like a character who was written by a man who maybe his marriage was on the rocks.
And in this episode, I feel like her part was written from her perspective rather than from an outsider looking at it. It felt like an inside job of writing.
I wonder if that changed with like the writers' room a little bit, because you have Ronald D. Moore coming in, you have Ira Burr actually running this season, not Michael Piller. I wonder if it just changed because I wonder if the room changed a little bit, so they maybe changed that.
Yeah.
That's possible.
It's possible. I mean, we'll know as we go further along. I mean, I don't recall.
I read somewhere that they actually kind of wrote Keiko out so that O'Brien could have more time with another person, get closer to him.
Oh,
I'm not going to say
so it's
who,
really,
but
yeah.
I don't know that I would like that though. I think we have Bashir for that, right?
Well,
That's the other person.
That's the other person. Yeah,
So they're going to have a better friendship.
yeah, a little more of a bromance.
Oh,
it's guy love.
no. Give me more Bashir and Garrick.
Oh, there you go.
Piss off, O'Brien.
Oh, someone's jealous.
Ooh, I don't know if you can talk to O'Brien that way. I'm a big O'Brien fan.
Yeah, with that dad bod, you got to root for that.
I mean,
dad
oh,
bod.
yeah.
If it comes down to O'Brien and Garrick, ain't even a choice.
Yeah, it's
not even
not
a choice.
I would agree.
You'll learn
actually.
through the show that O'Brien's been tortured and tormented so much, Garrett could do nothing to him.
Yeah, poor O'Brien. Yeah, you do get to know him better, and you'll learn.
No,
to like him
I
more.
like O'Brien. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm Team Garrick, ride or die.
But I like this because, like you said, like they were going to write her off the show so he could build up his relationship with Bashir, and you saw it right away, right, with their conversation where, like, Bashir was actually surprised O'Brien wanted to talk with him and wanted his opinion, and like that felt like a real friendship for the first time, whereas before it's been like this the snippy back and forth.
Which episode was it in? I believe it was season 2, where they were like stranded on this planet for a little while, and they got and O'Brien
It wasn't a cult.
Was that the one?
No, it wasn't that one. It was
That was
Armageddon game.
Armageddon,
Yes.
yeah, where he had to become the storyteller.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then O'Brien kind of opened up to Bashir because he thought he was dying
because he had the disease.
Right.
I can't think of its
Yeah,
name.
that's right. And he was
I thought
using,
I thought that was a really good episode to kind of bond them together.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I thought this was a good follow up to that
Because really, it's been since then they kind of
relationship development.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Chief O'Brien all the time, and I don't pay attention to him either. O'Brien.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Keiko and O'Brien story was sweet.
Coco.
I know.
Coco.
It was sweet. It was very nice.
Yes.
It was a nice change of pace in this episode. This episode was all about relationships, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It really was. It was about marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just connected the dots on that. Look at you.
You're looking for the deeper meaning. There it is.
I don't.
You're a regular listener to the show. This happens a lot where he figures out what the episode is on air.
He's like, I like this episode. No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't have any philosophical questions that came out of this episode, honestly, but I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I didn't have anything philosophical.
But
Go ahead.
the only thing I was gonna say is just that conversation between Bashir and O'Brien. I love that. I love Bashir being able to tell O'Brien like that he was downplaying what Keiko does for a living, right? Like you're minimizing what she does in order to, not because he actually felt like what she did wasn't important, because if he minimized what she did, it was easier to fix, right?
As
Like
people, we sometimes
I can
don't
fix this.
think about what we're doing. We're trying to do the right thing, but ultimately your heart's in the right place, but your logic isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was. It's like, I'm trying to keep her busy, but like one of you guys said, you're turning a career into a hobby. And when you're trying to think of a nice thing on purpose, you're not always seeing that. I'm guilty of that myself.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody is. You're not seeing the bigger picture in the long run.
yeah.
I thought Bashir kind of came at his advice more as a doctor than as a friend. Because he's more like, you need to treat the cause rather than the symptoms.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That's good perspective to have. The thing that kind of caught my eye and ear was how good Bashir's advice was, and how poor he is at relationships.
Yeah.
Like the juxtaposition of him giving good advice and being able to see this in other relationships, but still having trouble with his own relationships is
Well, to Jason's point, it kind of goes back to, so he saw it from the outside, plus he's looking at it a doctor's point of view.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's great. That's a great rundown, I thought.
yeah. He's got a little Alice in Wonderland in him.
You know, it's pretty accurate though. Like it's kind of like when someone's a contractor, right, and builds these beautiful homes, and you go to their house and things are falling apart, right? Or I had a good friend who was a lawn and landscaper, did amazing stuff, and his yard was just a barren wasteland because when they're done with work, they don't want to do it on their personal lives, right? They want to shut their brains down. Could be Bashir too. Like, I'm really smart with other people, but I don't want to put in the work, right? Like,
Or when your barber has a mullet. You're just like, back away.
but I don't want you to do my
I
hair.
remember when I had a barber.
I seriously
It's
thought you were
been a
going to say
while.
you remember when you had a mullet.
Because I thought that's what you were going to say, too.
Oh,
I'm like,
man.
I
did you?
I wish I would have.
I had a rat tail in kindergarten. I do remember that.
I grew up in the 80s. So I'm
That
sure,
story checks
I'm sure
out.
I had either a mullet or a rat tail.
I had frosted tips at one point.
I did too, and I worked at Raley's, and my coworkers called me Little M&M because I grew up in Warren, right? M&M grew up in Warren too. They called me Little M&M because my hair. I tried to emulate his hair. Apparently, they were not nice to me.
Your friends hated you.
It was a real rough time in my
Had
life.
some good nicknames.
Yeah,
While I may not like Gowron, I love Robert O'Reilly playing Gowron.
he doesn't really do much with him though.
He doesn't, but the way it's as animated as he is,
Yeah.
like even through the Next Generation to here to future episodes,
Yeah,
he's just a lot of fun to watch.
yeah, yeah.
And then you get into the Gowron memes, and it makes it even better.
So that all the Klingon stuff, I loved watching their eyes.
Yeah.
Very expressive.
throughout the entire episode, especially when Quark was going through like the financial records and the eyes were just like, you didn't even have to look. The eyes were just saying like, what is all of this stuff?
I like how they're so offended. You're being accused of taking down the house with money.
It was really great though. It shows the difference in cultures, right? Like Frankie's value money, and that like that's where they find their honor.
Right.
Klingons don't find honor in that, but
They find honor in killing somebody.
Hand-to-hand combat.
yeah.
Well, it's interesting because so Klingons are really in our honor, right? We think about their system versus ours. I don't think it's very honorable to not allow a woman to run a house because she's a woman. So it's just interesting the definition of honor to one culture to the next.
That's something they have in common though. Sexism.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true between the two.
Yep. They both look down at.
They could have bonded
women.
over that.
They didn't even see it.
The Ferengi, we don't let our women wear clothes. The Klingons like, we don't let them run houses. And it could have been a sitcom.
Yeah, sexism is the thing they have in common. I love the one scene with Quark when he was I can't remember her name, but the Klingon wife.
Roka.
And she's like, I'm really grateful for what you've done. That is why I'm going to give you the chance to take your hand off my thigh before I break it. Like, I love that. Like this, like you could, like, if you looked at their faces, it was like this genuine exchange. You're like, oh, this is cute. Well, Quark was just trying to get it on.
But the lady that played Roka, I don't know her name because I didn't look it
Roka,
up.
yeah.
She was phenomenal, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she was really, really good.
I wanted to look her up because there was something familiar about her face, even though she was covered in makeup. So I'm going to do that while we continue talking.
So did anybody catch the fake rule of acquisition?
Yeah.
Yes.
Number 286?
Yep.
Yeah.
When Morn leaves, it's over.
Yeah.
Which would be a good rule.
Well, it should be. Should be
Especially if
286.
you ran a bar.
That's not a bad rule at all.
It was just a fun episode. I really enjoyed
It
watching
was.
it.
Yep. Did anyone else notice how like she just basically abducted Quark off a station that was at war and nobody cared
That's
at
a
all?
good
Yeah.
point. I thought
Nobody
about it.
mentioned it at all.
They're all like, what can you do?
No one cared.
I
No
just
one
assume,
cared.
I guess, maybe Odo's like, well, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Or
my
Odo was
God.
thinking, he's probably off doing some shenanigans somewhere.
Yep.
I didn't even think about that, Rom. Yeah, like that is a trip.
Yeah, they like teleported him off they transported him off the station and nobody batted an eye or
No
anything.
one cares that Quark is gone.
Gee, Odo, I wonder why they want to bring Starfleet security in.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh.
Odo's just, he tries.
Yeah.
He executes so poorly sometimes, though.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So much happens under his watch.
Maybe
Yeah.
he was in his bucket.
Yeah.
He was taking a
True.
napper.
He doesn't like people to see him in his bucket, so he could have been off in the corner.
Could have been. Could have been. We don't know. So it was Mary Kay Adams played Greeka, and she was in Guiding Light and Babylon 5. So I guess I don't know her from anywhere.
I thought she was so good in this. Because I looked her up too, and I'm surprised she didn't do more because she was pretty money, man.
She
Babylon
was.
5, the dollar store, Deep Space Nine.
Oh my goodness! Here we go again. Let's not do this. Let's not do.
Gonna get
this.
some hate tweets now.
Gosh, you're gonna get us people are gonna come after you.
I thought divorce being levied as a reward was hilarious.
Yeah. And the way they divorce,
Yeah.
just like the slap to
She
the
slaps the shit out of him and spits on him.
She seriously gave him a
Yeah, he
1-2,
did.
man.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah.
I thought the wedding scene where she's forcing them to marry him and then spits at the end of it. I was cracking up.
Yeah, it was a good episode. It was a really funny episode, but it had some really serious, tender moments in it. Right, great episode for Quark. Shows him in an entirely new light. Shows him
Yep.
as a character who does have a lot of honor and respect.
Yep.
And, but respect is good, but Latinum is still better. Right,
Of course,
that's,
always.
that's the quote he makes at the end.
Always.
The other thing that stood out to me was how far away Bajor was. I didn't realize it was 3 hours away in a runabout.
It's not far.
Yeah,
That's far to me.
It's not that far.
I had assumed it was basically.
It's a run to Grand Rapids.
I had assumed it was basically orbiting the planet in some sense,
No, remember because in the first one they
move it.
They move it.
but they don't move it that 3 hours far.
Suspend disbelief, man.
You suspend your
I'll
disbelief.
suspend your disbelief.
I just always thought it was
Gentlemen, we
closer.
have a guest. Gentlemen.
I'm okay with it being further away. Let me be very clear about that. But I just didn't realize.
Well, maybe they moved it even further away after Emissary.
No.
I mean, how close can they be really, though?
Well, it would have to be a little bit of a distance. Let's call it what it is.
They're there to guard the wormhole, though, not Bajor. So.
Right.
But the wormhole and Bajor are right by each other. Jason,
But they're 3 hours apart.
Yeah, I was going to
That's
say,
relative.
apparently they're 3 hours apart.
Yeah,
so.
it's relative.
a 3 hour tour.
It's all relative.
Anybody else got anything else for this episode?
I was a little surprised how Quark didn't just liquidate all the family assets that he could and run off when he became head of house. I was
Right.
really expecting
Yeah.
that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, he could have. But the house was left in disrepair, though, right? I mean, like it was not in good shape.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't
Right.
have been worth much.
No, that's true. That's
Right, and there was a lot of debt. I mean,
The House of Quark.
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 I don't think he wanted like an entire team of Klingons chasing him around the galaxy
That
over minimal latinum
I can imagine Klingon bounty hunters being pretty relentless.
Yeah.
and effective.
Yes, very true.
Would it even be a bounty hunter, or would they just go kill for the honor?
Here's a buddy cop comedy idea: The
Honor
Mandalorian and Klingon bounty hunter.
Oh, I think a better buddy cop would be a Klingon with Quark. Right? I mean, like that would be a good one. Quark.
Quark and Odo.
Ooh, there you
Oh,
go.
there you go. That'd be good.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You got anything, Jay?
Nope.
I liked the Klingons in this episode.
Yeah,
For-
you
for
don't,
some-
and you
for
don't know
someone-
them as much.
No.
Yeah.
So I had the Blood Oath was really my first go around with getting to know Klingons, and that was a great episode. I really liked that episode. I liked this one slightly less than that one, but I just liked being exposed to more of Klingon culture.
And you're going to get that more here next season, especially.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Klingon-
they have a lot of respect for institutions and processes
Yes.
and things that are set in place in their culture. You know, they give that a lot of respect.
You will see there are, just like any bureaucracy, there are a lot of holes and a lot of
Right.
fraud. And
It's not perfect, but for the
Right.
most part, they do kind of respect what has been set in place.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
We go on to Equilibrium.
Equilibrium.
You going to give it a try, Jason?
Yes, I'll give it a try.
All
yeah,
right.
do it.
All right, in Equilibrium starts off with Jadzia is getting dinner with Cisco and Jake, and she starts to play this music on the piano that she never knew she knew how to play.
Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.
Yep, that was it.
That would be great.
Okay, sorry.
Anyways, so she starts to remember this. The music gets stuck in her head. Over the next couple of days, she becomes increasingly more erratic and distracted, and she starts to have hallucinations. So they take her to the Trill home world and find out that her body is kind of rejecting the symbiote. It's her certain levels of I forget what it was, are low. They think it might reject the symbiote. After some more digging, they find out that that music that she played was created by another person that ends up being a symbiote that was previously her host. And this host murdered somebody and was not a good candidate for the joining. So in order to... I'm trying to... Sorry, in order to solve this, they... there we go.
Pardon the dog barking.
Anyways, in order to solve this, they have to kind of dig up these memories and sift through her past to find out what's going on. That's about it.
Yeah. And they find out they actually hey, man, golf clap.
The crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
The crowd goes wild. That is a good summation.
It's a honestly hard one to do.
Better than I would have done.
Better than Joe would have done because he hasn't done one yet. So you got more balls than Joe.
No,
He has done one.
I did one. It was short and sweet, but I did one.
He did do
There was an
one.
episode and things were done.
Yeah. He did
It
good.
was a bit more than that.
All right.
Not much, but it was
So-
a little more than that.
So for me, this episode was solid, but then I realized something again afterwards is this didn't make me ask the one episode where she was on trial for the murder in the past and there, these other things, like they made me ask bigger questions. This one didn't really make me ask any bigger questions.
I'm surprised it didn't because the Trill Society was hiding this one thing because basically 80% of the Trill Society is actually eligible to get symbionts and there's not enough for it.
Yeah.
And then so they're actually lying and saying like 10% are or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. So is that lie needed? Is the question I thought you were going to bring to the table.
I don't know why I wasn't thinking of that.
Yeah.
Well, because they're lying because the resources aren't there.
Yeah, and
they're sort of kind of like squashing the demand for these resources because they don't
Creating
have
an artificial market.
and they don't want to cause some big riotous thing where people aren't getting them.
or black market. Black market.
Yeah. That's the
market
question
Trill.
I thought you were bringing to the table.
I did not bring that to the table.
You're too involved in Snyder.
You know what was one of the questions that I actually had off of this one? Do they not use blankets in the future? What is the deal with that? When they go to bed later in the episode and they just lay down, they don't use blankets. I've never seen them use blankets when they go to bed in Deep Space Nine. I know in Next Generation I've seen them, but they're weird satin glowy sheets, which look super uncomfortable. Like there's going to be a lot of chafing.
Well, they're
with
designed
those.
in case the ship crashes, they can use it for coverage in any weather.
Oh, well played. Well played.
Pulled that out of my ass. There you go.
They did, but they don't use blankets in this one.
You know what question I asked?
What?
Why does everybody pronounce it Joran? And then at the end, when Dax is in the pool, she says Jorian.
Because
That is
they
what
just found out about him. So she's like, whatever.
This is what we call
I think they call him Duran, or
matter
later.
of inconsistency. This is where you bring in.
It just my eyebrows raised. I was like, "That's not who you're talking about. That guy is that's a different name."
Is this
than
a
I've
different
been-
man? Yeah.
Between Snyder Cut, Falcon Winter
Yeah,
Soldier, I was lucky to get these in.
Yeah. And one of the things I really did appreciate that came out of this episode for me is this show is starting to knock it out of the park in the season with their relationships and characters. They're really going to the next level. They tried to do it in the first two seasons, but they felt really shallow. But like Jadzia coming in to talk with Bashir was a really heartfult moment.
It was interesting, too, because you haven't really seen her that vulnerable.
You've
other
not
than-
seen her like that. And at first I'm like, is this like her messed up brain right now? Is she going to come on to him? Right? Because that's kind of what it felt like for a second
Not
there.
to me.
Oh, for a hot second it felt like that. And then I'm like, okay, this is innocent. This is not her.
Yeah, it felt like
she's-
insecurity because she didn't know what's going on. She was scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she reveals that she wasn't suitable for the matching the first time. Like she failed the test.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a pretty big thing to reveal to somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
When you want them to think you're perfect.
Right. Exactly. So like the relationships they're building are just, they feel real now, right? Going back to Keiko and O'Brien in the last one, I never cared about it. Now I do. I didn't care about Bashir and O'Brien really till the last episode. Now I do. I didn't care about Bashir and Jadzia. Now I do, right? In the span of 2 episodes, they've made me invested into these relationships in a way I wasn't before.
They're really starting to develop and kind of hit their stride.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
One relationship is Odo and Dax, or sorry, Cisco and Dax. I always thought was pretty solid, and this is another episode where he shows how much he cares about Dax and Jadzia and Curzon too in the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love their friendship. Like, she's a mentor, yet she's learning from Cisco.
Yeah.
He's a mentor, yet he's learning from Jadzia. It's just an interesting friendship.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is. It is.
I really like it.
Speaking of relationships, Kira and Odo.
Yes, where she's like, "You're cute."
Yeah,
It was a very quick
It
line.
was great.
but it was cute because he's stirring.
But it-
yeah.
Oh,
The way
that
he
was
started
awkward. I have right here watching Odo cook is awkward.
holding the bowl
because
and
he's
stirring
holding
it.
the mixer and just like moving the bowl. Like,
Because you don't know how to cook, you don't eat.
I know, but he said he had like
It'd
a fascination with it.
It'd be
but
like me combing my hair. Like, I don't know how to do that. Like, for me, it's like that. That's how I comb my hair. If you don't know,
Like-
I'm throwing my hands wildly in the air.
that's a better
'Cause I'm
Richard
bald.
Simmons impersonation than I think any impersonation you've ever had on
We
this
really
show.
need to get a YouTube page for that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other thing was, so everybody's at Cisco for this party. Who is manning DS9? What is going on with this station?
There's a guy, Eddington.
Eddington, yeah,
this
the security
asshole,
officer.
Eddington.
I will say, Angry Dax in this one was way better than Angry Bashir from the earlier seasons, right?
They're really starting to get a grip on the anger.
Angry Dax is like, whoa, she's pissed. Like, Angry Bashir, you're like, who is this pirate? Like, arr, tickle me shimber.
Tickle me shimbers. Is that what you said?
I did.
All right. Well, maybe you're watching different pirate movies than I am.
Maybe. I loved, but that whole first scene, like the dinner scene or whatever, Odo's facial features and expressions were great, especially when he was the background, when he had no speaking parts and he was supposed to be there while other people are talking. Just watching his face was fantastic. So if you haven't done that, go back and do that.
You can tell he's a theater actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he knows he's always on, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's theater for you. But yeah, that was solid.
Also, Dax's hair is back to normal.
If
anybody's keeping track at home, if you're keeping score at home,
I like,
Dax's hair is back to
I
normal size.
particularly liked her hair when she went to Bashir's cabin because she didn't have the bump in it. There was no bump at all. It was just completely down. So, yeah.
Another one thing I liked about Blood Oath over this is that it was a Jadzia episode, not involving the symbiont, because it seems like they're still. And maybe this episode wasn't in
that's a
play,
good point,
and they're
yeah.
still focusing on her and the symbiont, and they're not getting to Jadzia. They're just kind of
And she's
pigeonholing her into the symbiont.
Yeah, and they revealed it's been almost 4 years now that she's had this.
Yeah.
And she's still having issues with it accepting her.
Yeah.
Her accepting it.
Yeah.
How long does that go on? Is that
Before they say cut the crap,
Well,
you're
think
done.
about it. She's
Right.
4 years old. I mean, if you want to dumb it down maybe a little bit. So
No, I don't.
You would think they would have the system down, and there would be that medically they would have her kind of know what's
But
going
the
on.
host is older, right?
But they need to tell stories. That's the way I look at
Yeah.
it.
I agree, though. Like, Trill is messed up, man. They got problems.
One thing I thought interesting about this episode, so the mask thing, right, where she was seeing all these characters in
Those
masks.
were creepy.
But
Yeah, there were.
I looked at it in a way. I thought it was interesting because
We
I thought
all
maybe
wear
each
masks,
mask could be
metaphorically
the
speaking.
other host.
yes.
Yeah.
That's
And she's
exactly
going
how
through
I
the
looked at
layers
it.
of the man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mind blown.
So I was kind of watching it because I watched it twice actually because I'm like the first time I watched it, kind of watched it in passing.
Yeah.
Like I got to do a better job, so I
This
watched
is why
it
you
again.
didn't have time. You watched the episode 6 times before we air.
Yeah.
And Justice League twice.
Stop blaming the 40-minute episode and blame the 4-hour Snyder cut.
Well, I know I want to talk about this week because we want to try to stay topical. So, but yeah, I thought I watched it and I said
Now he wants to stay topical.
I was on topic with Justice League.
This is a different Rob than the first 58 minutes of the show.
I could sidebar a bunch of stuff right now. I could take this train off the rails.
Real quick.
Yeah.
And it ain't coming back on.
Nope.
This
So-
is Amtrak, baby.
So I thought that was interesting. I thought maybe that was the different facets of Dax and the host before.
That's exactly how I looked at it, especially when when the one ripped the mask off and there was another mask under it.
Yep. I
think that was
different layers.
Yeah, I think that was the point that they were trying to drive home, and it worked, and it was super creepy.
Oh yeah,
Really
It
well
looked
done.
really
the
bad.
hallucinations were great.
Oh yeah.
They did a good job on this.
Yep. And even the guy who was manning the pools was a weirdo, but he doesn't see daylight or other people that often. So
Yeah.
there's a good reason for him being a weirdo. So what do you guys think about a host being a murderer?
I mean, it can't be the
Fine.
first time this has happened.
Yeah.
Oh, I imagine not. They established they try to keep things like that under wraps, and they knew how to try to subdue Joran.
Which doesn't make any like.
Drain.
I can see how she'd have all these issues, right? Like she basically has how many? This is her 8th person
I think so.
for the symbiote. So like you have 8 people living inside of you, and you're going to just shut down one of those 8 people. How do you do that? It's one thing to like close off everyone, but like to silence all of them.
And it was
I can't
like
get the
80
voice.
years
The one
ago,
voice
too,
in my
so-
head to silence.
Yeah, I know. I already have a hard enough time.
Shut up.
Don't talk to me.
And that was what, like 85 years ago or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long are these memories going to be suppressed? Eventually they're going
they're
to
bleed
light.
through. Like,
right.
and the fact they really didn't have a plan to deal with it too
Like,
well.
is this the first time that this has ever happened? That they've ever had to do this? It can't be.
We're led to believe that, right?
It sounds like we're led to believe that.
So this was just them throwing shit against the wall and seeing if it stuck?
Yeah, and
Like,
maybe
in a way to deal with
Maybe-
a host that they didn't think was worthy?
Yeah, maybe they thought he was worthy. They got the symbiote in him and said, nah, not so much.
Yeah.
And obviously, after he kills off somebody, they say, well, and they don't want people to know that now they're got to try to hide that 80% of the population can actually have these things.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Are we to the rating point?
Are we there yet? I mean, was there anything else? I mean, was there anything in the episode people hated?
I don't think I hated any of it.
No, I didn't.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was good. It just felt like there was something missing. I don't know what
you're
it was.
Coming off a lot of highs. You're coming off Jemadar, you're coming off The Search, you're coming off House of Quark, and then you're coming to this one that changes the tempo a lot.
Right.
And so it's you're going to have that feeling of something missing. And we're not having to wait a week or 2 weeks. You know, this might have aired 2 weeks after House of Quark.
Yeah.
We're watching House of Quark and then going right into Equilibrium, chances are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to get that. You complain about the whole binging thing and how it changes everything. Changes this too.
Yeah. That's a very good point. It does. It does. Because I sat and watched House of Quark and immediately watched this one.
Yeah, you'd have to wait a week or 2 or 3.
Wow. That's a good point.
I agree.
I kind of hated how much Cisco insisted on the beats.
Are you a Beats fan?
No.
I always hate when people said, I hate this food. Well, you just haven't had it the right way.
Yep.
Or it tastes like butt.
Yep.
Or
There's
you just
no-
haven't had it the right way.
Gosh.
But also, it could taste like butt.
I hate that. Like, no, I could
Because
just,
beets look like they come out of a butt.
you can just hate something. It's
Butt
fine.
is a delicacy on Earth. So
It could be.
it takes
Could
a
be.
certain palate.
Yeah.
Does it eat butt? I said it.
I'm gonna
Are we putting explicit on this one now?
I'm gonna nope out of this conversation.
Nope.
I was talking with someone one time, and they said to me about food. They go,
I thought this would go somewhere else.
no.
And they said something to me about
So
eating.
let's take beets for example. They're like, here's the thing: do beets actually taste the same to every single person? Right? So the taste buds taste it exactly the same, but you just prefer not to like it. Or because we're all different, when we taste something, we taste it differently than they would. So
Everybody tastes something differently, right?
I know, but that
I
would
think
mean
ultimately they taste the same, but your brain interprets it whatever way it wants to.
okay. So you think it tastes the same? So I could eat a donut and it would taste exactly the same
Yeah, if we split
to
this,
everyone, but your brain might say no, we don't like
it's
donuts.
interpretation. So if we split that donut,
I don't
the
think so.
same
No,
donut,
I think it's the receptors. So because you could completely destroy your palate or your taste buds or whatever. Let's say you take somebody who has a certain diet, and then you take somebody who might be a smoker, right? Their taste buds and their palates are going to be way different because of how they treat their
that's fair.
their taste
I didn't
buds.
think about that.
So the signals that their taste buds are going to send their brain is going to be vastly different than somebody who eats meat and somebody who doesn't. They're going to have different taste buds because they've trained their tongue, their palate.
Yeah, I didn't think about that
differently over the course of time.
Ha!
Wait, did I just side with Nick?
Yeah, you did.
Son of a bitch. That's a first.
And this is a series finale of the Cardassian.
Because hell is about to drop.
Oh, yeah. So that blew my mind, though, when they said that. Because I'm like, frick, I never thought about that, right? Like, is it really just our taste buds personally, or is it the fact that the food actually just tastes
like
different?
To Joe's point, now that he said it, it's like, if you've had Americanized food your entire life, and in your entire life you've had Americanized food, and then all you try to go to sushi or Asian or whatever it might be, that's going to resonate differently with you. A, because you're being exposed to it for the first time.
Yeah.
B, because your palate's been trained a certain way.
Yeah. Well, it's like European chocolate, right? They don't use like milk chocolates in it. Like it doesn't have as much sugar. So when you have it, you're like, this is garbage in the United States. But then they have ours and they're like, this is garbage. Their palates have been
Smarties from
trained.
England are great.
Think about when it's suggested you introduce new foods. It's when someone's a child, right?
Yes.
When their palate is very fresh, and so you can kind of develop a
Train
taste
it.
for them, and you can train it. It's when you become an adult, your willingness, right? Your free will to choose to try new foods, but at that point, you've trained your palate to taste things a certain way.
It's interesting because Sydney, when she was younger, I had forgotten this. Used to like peanut butter sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly. She hates peanut butter now. So what's the reverse of that?
Yeah, where does that switch?
I think you're brainwashing her.
I do believe peanut butter tastes and looks like ass.
I love peanut butter.
I'm unusual with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you also don't like chewing sounds. Like,
Man, I'm gonna kill you one day. One day you're gonna die.
We got headphones on, man.
Yeah,
I know. It sounds way worse than the headphones,
Yeah, it
doesn't
does.
it? Oh,
No,
gosh.
I'm pretty sure it sounds worse.
No,
Well,
no.
see,
no matter
it's a
what.
good thing we brought Jason on because we're going to have to bury Nick. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it.
We're just going
This
to
is
bury
why
him.
I'm trying to keep the show going, because I know the second it ends, I'm getting murdered.
For all the damn chewing sounds.
So let's rate them.
Jason, you got anything else
Nope.
before we get in the rating?
Nope, not that I can think of.
Okay. Well, let's,
How was it like being here?
I love it. It's great.
Okay.
lot of fun.
I'm glad you came down.
Oh, yeah, me too. I hope I can come again soon.
Yeah, we're here.
yeah, come along home.
Although next week we're not recording him.
We're going to record on
Friday.
a different day. That's
Okay.
just we're recording on a Friday. I
Show
think.
meeting.
Show meeting. Okay, let's rate House of Quark. House
Jason?
of Quark.
I'd say an 8 for House of
An
Quark.
8
I
for House
love
of
House of
Quark.
Quark. It's,
It is a really good episode. It is a really good episode. All right, who's next?
Not me.
I'll go. I had 8 too. I had 8.
You had 8?
I thought it was really good.
All right. Rob, what do you got?
I'm pretty sure it's an 8 too.
All right, I give it an 8.1.
I hate you so much.
I did.
An 8.02.
You can give it an 8. Give it an 8.
Is this Price is Right? Where you're just gonna go,
8.02, motherfucker.
$1.
Yeah.
$1.
801.
Yeah.
So hate you.
No, it's really good. I like this one a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
You know what was so good about this episode too is it wasn't advancing the main storyline much, right? It was a little bit, right? The Dominion has slowed down business, but like it was a great character development story that didn't feel like it slowed down the pace of the show.
Right.
Yep.
That's a good thing.
Cool.
All
I
right.
gave it 8.1 because I wrote down the 8.1.
Okay, that's fine. Equilibrium. I'll give that one a 6.5. 6.5.
That's exactly what I was going to.
Yeah, you were.
Yep,
Yeah,
6.5.
Yeah, you were.
I went
6
6 with that one.
You went 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't a huge fan,
Yeah.
but it wasn't terrible.
I'd say 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wrestling between that and
So
7
we're-
because there was things I liked about it.
You know what's so interesting is we talked about Equilibrium more than House of Quark, but we liked House of Quark more.
I think there was more to discuss
Yeah.
for Equilibrium. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the better episode. Because
Right.
I mean, what are we going to do? We could discuss things that they didn't do right.
Yeah.
Or things that we wish were different or
Right.
or whatever. But
Right.
I thought House of Quark was easily the better of these two.
I would agree.
Now, to Rob's point earlier, I think we're coming off a really solid run of probably a dozen or so episodes going back to season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe the rate... I didn't think the episode was great, Equilibrium, but I think coming right off of that run...
That hurts it.
Yeah, I think it's a way different pace, and it's a different story they're trying to tell.
Whole different tone, yeah.
Yeah.
And the reality is, again, because it wasn't as good as House of Quark or The Search or whatever, doesn't mean it was bad.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It was still a great episode. It was still not great. It was still an enjoyable episode.
Yeah, that was
Right.
I'd say solid.
Yeah,
It was
it's
solid.
enjoyable.
It's salad.
Yeah.
It was no Second Sight.
No.
But
God, I
So
hated
wait,
one.
the next episode, is that called Second Skin?
Yes.
Second Skin.
That is
Second-
a Second Sight.
Second Skin. Then we'll have Second Smell. Then
Yeah,
we'll have
are we
second
going
hair.
through- are we
I think
going
your
through the
boy's in it,
senses?
by the way.
All right, I'm watching it now.
You mean
If I remember
O'Brien,
correctly,
right?
Second Skin's
We got
relatively good, but I don't...
If Garrick's
so.
if Garrick's in it, it's good.
Garrick is the worst thing on the show.
This is, you know what? I think at some point during this show,
You just got pissed off.
at some point during this show, Jason is going to replace each one of us.
I just got fired.
No, I'm just going to quit.
All right. Well, is this a good time to play us off?
Yeah, play us off.
Yeah.
Well, let's
So
play
next
us off.
week, but next week you don't know who you're getting. It
Yeah,
could be
so we don't know who the hosts are next
Exactly.
week.
Yeah, it
if
could
you
be
want
anyone.
if you want to join us and replace one of us, just let us know.
Yeah.
Twitter,
Yeah, Twitter.
Instagram.
Instagram, Facebook,
But
MySpace.
yeah.
Yeah.
Find us on all those networks.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We're there.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Thanks
Thanks
for
for
coming out.
being
man.
here.
Thanks for driving here too.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. Take care, all. Have a good one.
Yep.